111 years after the Titanic tragedy, history repeated itself. In 2023, the submersible Titan, created by OceanGate, suffered an accident in the cold waters of the North Atlantic. It's well known that there were 5 people on board, including Stockton Rush, the founder and CEO of OceanGate, who seemed to be trying to outpace time, challenging fate itself. But did you know that the disaster with the Titan submersible turned out to be much more complicated than anyone could have imagined? This tragedy was not limited to the loss of equipment and finances. In fact, behind the sad picture there are secrets and scandals, accompanied by riddles and mystical details of history that no one could explain. The story of OceanGate serves as a lesson for all who seek to penetrate the vast depths and touch the mythical pages of the past, trying to withstand the elements. Stay with us until the end, and you'll really be surprised by what actually happened. Let's start with how the submersible was created. Did you know that Stockton Rush, who was behind the development of the Titan, chose carbon fiber instead of traditional titanium for the hull of the vessel? Aiming for an excellent balance of strength and buoyancy, he considered this decision a revolutionary step in the underwater industry. However, this choice became the foundation of the catastrophe that turned the outlook on advanced materials upside down. Often dismissive of proven titanium skins, Rush saw carbon fiber as not only lightweight, but also the future. Unfortunately, such material has not been sufficiently tested for such a bold approach. Time was running out, and he took a detour to realize his dream, bypassing standard certification procedures. His underwater brainchild, the deep-sea submarine Titan, promised to revolutionize the study of the deep sea. But was it worth ignoring the warnings? Without the necessary testing embodied in safety certificates, Titan set out on its maiden voyage. At the very beginning of the expedition, everything seemed flawless. Rush gathered the passengers, including Hamish Harding and Jay Bloom, to discuss the Titan submersible trip. This mission was a chance to see the Titanic. The team included seasoned traveler Hamish Harding and businessman Jay Bloom. Rush described the mission as a rare opportunity to touch history, see the legendary Titanic with his own eyes and experience the unique emotions that can only be experienced on such expeditions. The safety instructions went by quickly and in an encouraging manner. The passengers, impressed by the crew's professionalism, eagerly discussed the upcoming dive, their hearts racing as they anticipated the uncharted feelings ahead. Among them, the only one who showed a bit of caution was Jay Bloom. His gaze occasionally lingered on the control panels of the sub, as if he was searching for something more in them. At first, everything was going according to plan. The Titan's mechanisms started up silently, and the submersible began its slow descent into the ocean depths. The sunken ship lay still. Hidden malfunctions escalated dangerously. The Titan's disappearance tested the search team. What lay ahead was not just an accident, but a profound ordeal that turned from an attempt to see the unknown into a tragic chain of events that threatened to engulf all participants of this expedition. When the submersible Titan vanished into the ocean, it became a true test for everyone involved in the search operation. The U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. Navy, and the Canadian Navy joined forces in hopes of locating the missing vessel. But this mission turned out to be much more difficult than they could have imagined. The challenging weather conditions constantly got in the way of the search teams. The underwater currents and powerful waves nearly wiped out their chances of quickly locating the Titan. The sky was getting covered with clouds, strong winds were tearing apart the radio signals, and without beacons, it was incredibly hard to navigate. Even the most advanced technologies sometimes showed their helplessness in the face of nature. But it wasn't just nature that was a hurdle. News about the missing passengers added pressure on the search teams. Each of their lives could depend on every single minute. Aircraft and underwater drones scanned the ocean surface and depths, but did not yield results that could inspire hope. In this fight against an invisible enemy, every second counts. The Titan disaster served as a bitter reminder of just how dangerous and unpredictable the ocean depths can be. When the search teams found the wreckage of the Titan sub, their fears became a reality. The debris, hidden beneath layers of dark, icy water, seemed to guard its grim secret from the past. Investigations revealed that the disaster was far more devastating than anyone could have imagined. The wreckage, hidden under a layer of dark, icy water, seemed to have been guarding its dark secrets since the past. Research showed that the disaster was far more devastating than anyone could have imagined. Upon careful analysis of the damage, it became apparent that the problem was not only a navigational error, but also a design flaw in the submarine. The Titan's crash was caused by multiple ruptures in the hull, caused, engineers believe, by a combination of high pressure and hidden defects in the metal, corroded by time. This tragedy not only damaged technology, but also people, the crew members and their families who will never see their loved ones again. The wreckage of the sub tells a story of how one mistake could turn into a national disaster. Researchers continue to piece together this picture, uncovering more and more clues that will help prevent such terrible incidents in the future. The catastrophic fate of the Titan submersible turned out to be a tragedy that raised questions about dangers that had long been ignored. Researchers are continuing to piece together this picture, uncovering more and more clues that will help prevent such terrible incidents in the future. The catastrophic fate of the Titan submersible turned out to be a tragedy that raised questions about dangers that had long been ignored. At the center of the discussions was Stockton Rush, known for risky ventures. David Lockridge voiced safety concerns, but they were ignored. Experienced specialist David Lockridge has repeatedly expressed his doubts about the neglect of safety measures, but his words have been drowned out by a maelstrom of ambition. The company's international expeditions clouded the clarity of understanding potential threats. And this chaos became a harbinger of disaster. The Titan submarine, once considered a marvel of engineering, suffered a crushing defeat, a tragic victim of an overly complex technological design. Rush's supporters argued that it was the desire to go against the grain that drove progress, but the disregard for criticism that went unheeded brought about its own sad consequences. The Titan became a symbol of how carelessness and complacency can be devastating. The Titan became a symbol of how carelessness and complacency can be devastating. Eventually, the incidents turned out to be much more serious than anyone could have anticipated. The conflict began to escalate due to the differences in Lockridge's and Stockton's approaches to safety and risk management. Lockridge, having witnessed unsafe practices, could not stand by and did his duty by bringing similar issues to the attention of management. However, instead of support, he was met with alienation and misunderstanding. This standoff reached a crescendo when Stockton Rush, leading the management at Ocean Gate, made the decision to fire Lockridge. The firing set off a legal battle that has damaged the company's reputation and exposed internal problems. In the eyes of the public, Titan has gone from being a symbol of progress to an example of insufficient thought and lack of coordination. The incident not only changed the lives of those involved, but also forced a rethinking of safety standards in the underwater exploration industry. You noticed the previous expeditions of Ocean Gate, and it left everyone in shock. The story unfolded on another submersible even before the Titan was launched. Stockton Rush ignored the calls for increased caution from experienced engineer David Lockridge. As the Bathyscaphe began its dive, the atmosphere was tense. Lockridge reminded Rush of the importance of following safety protocols, but his words got lost in the silence of the cabin, like an echo in the void. When the damage occurred, the panicking passengers were scrambling around the cabin. Hope was in Lockridge's hands. He led the submersible decisively, avoiding disaster. The capsule moved in the ocean depths until Lockridge brought it to the surface. He acted decisively and quickly, carrying out complex maneuvers to avoid total collapse. The capsule rose and fell in the inky depths of the ocean until Lockridge, with incredible fortitude, brought it to the surface. This accident was not only a test of professionalism, but also a lesson in the tragic consequences that can result from neglecting safety measures. This story will stick in the minds of many for years to come. Strangely enough, new details kept coming to light, and many well-known figures weighed in on this story. For example, when David Lockridge talked about the incidents that happened with Ocean Gate submersibles, his words revealed the horrifying truth about just how risky those dives were. David pointed out that despite numerous warnings, the problem was never fixed. Dr. Stephen Ross, an experienced marine biologist, also witnessed failures in the safety system of the submersibles. David pointed out that despite numerous warnings, the problem was never fixed. Dr. Stephen Ross, an experienced marine biologist, also witnessed failures in the safety system of the submersibles. He noticed that many of the components were outdated and had never been properly checked. Every time he got into the submersible, he prayed that this trip wouldn't be his last. Renata Roas, a renowned oceanographer, confirmed David and Stephen's words, adding that during one of her dives her communication system failed and no one on the surface could understand what was happening below. Her experience became yet another warning sign that went unheard. These eyewitness accounts paint a troubling picture. The disaster of the submersible Titan was just the tip of the iceberg. Such prolonged inaction and disregard for warnings became a devastating display of human negligence. Stockton Rush, an ambitious entrepreneur, faced bureaucratic obstacles in underwater exploration despite his unique charisma and dedication. His unique charisma and dedication to the idea created a new trend in underwater exploration. However, bureaucracy, with its multitude of procedures and checks, presented insurmountable obstacles to bringing his ideas to life. At first, everything was going according to plan. The technology was working flawlessly, promising an exciting dive into uncharted waters, but the capricious and merciless ocean soon showed its unpredictability. Unexpected failures in the navigation systems, caused by hidden flaws, turned expeditions into a nightmare. Unplanned situations unfolded rapidly, exposing the vulnerability of untested innovations. What seemed like minor difficulties turned into a critical miscalculation. Without careful testing and necessary safeguards, the consequences of the Titan submarine tragedy were truly devastating and life-threatening, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of technology. Navigation issues caused by hidden defects in the systems plunged the sub into chaos. The emergency situation developed faster than expected, exposing all the weaknesses of unproven innovations. What initially seemed like a minor detail on the road to success turned into a fatal mistake. Without proper checks and guarantees, the consequences of this disaster became even more severe and life-threatening, leaving a mark not only in the heart of the sea but also in the history of technology. It seemed like the expeditions of OceanGate were opening new horizons in the study of the underwater world. Together with Macklemore, their team repeatedly caught the world's attention by organizing observations of rare shark species. As an innovator, Stockton Rush played a key role in these projects, attracting substantial investments and support to the company. However, reality turned out to be harsh. The Titan submersible disaster became a dark chapter in this successful journey. Progress overlooked safety. Diving deep, they hit a fatal problem. Life support failure was fatal. Diving to depths of over 4,000 meters in search of new discoveries, they encountered an insurmountable obstacle. The malfunction in the life support system turned out to be fatal. Strangely enough, even the tragedy of the Titan couldn't overshadow the enthusiasm of the researchers who, despite everything, continued to believe in science. By analyzing mistakes and implementing new security systems, OceanGate is determined to learn from the past and continue to make discoveries to ensure that something like this never happens again. This story serves as a stark reminder of the importance of taking a meticulous approach to every stage of an expedition. The Titan submarine tragedy not only exposed the vulnerability of innovation to the ancient power of the ocean, but also became a symbol of how ambition can turn into disaster. The story of Stockton Rush and his team is a warning that even the most advanced technologies require thorough checks and impeccable safety standards. Now, standing on the brink of new discoveries, the engineering community must learn from this grim event. But what can we expect next? How will the approach to underwater research change? And what ocean mysteries do we have yet to uncover? How can we be sure of the professionalism of our workers? How will the approach to underwater research change, and what mysteries of the ocean will we have to unravel? How can we be sure of the professionalism of our workers? Speaking of professionals, hey friends, I have an interesting proposal for you. If you love mysterious stories and know how to tell them in an interesting way, or maybe even have video editing skills or voiceovers for videos in different languages, you can become part of our team. Message us on our Telegram bot, link in the description. See you next time.